following podcast is recorded and produced by Emerge, a media creators co-op, in affiliation with the network at bicbp-radio.com.
Welcome to the Support Local Everything podcast, a podcast of the Upward Niagara Chamber of Commerce. I'm president of the Chamber, Jennifer Pauley, and we have an exciting week here this week, one of the last weeks of April. Or do we have a week next week? I can't remember. April seems to be flying by. But we have a networking event this week on Thursday, so we hope you can join us there. It is at the Griffin Brewing in Youngstown, New York, and it's a great way for businesses to get together and network and enjoy a new location that has just opened earlier this year. And we provide these networking opportunities a few times per year, about 4 to 5, depending on the time frame. This is our second one of the year, and it's $10 at the door. You can register online ahead of time or just show up. It's 5 o'clock on Thursday. We hope you join us then. And then we also just recently had in our office, distributed and ready to go is our 2024 calendar of events and festivals. So if you haven't picked one up, stop by the office. If you'd like a copy, let us know. It includes all of the events that are in the region, mostly Lewiston, Sanborn, Niagara Falls, Ransomville area. Some Wilson events in here as well, from May all the way through the end of December. So check that out. If you want your information included next year, just let us know, and we'll keep you in the loop as to how to get that information over to us. It's supported by a number of advertisers, so we hope that you check this out and support the advertisers that have helped contribute to make this possible. We print 20,000 of these, and they're distributed all throughout the region, and it's a great tool. Throw it on your refrigerator, keep it in your desk. It's a quick way to see what's coming up next. Today on our podcast, we have a special guest. I say special because he's my boss. He's the chairman of our chamber board, Matt Villnave, but he is also responsible for marketing and rider experience for the Discover Niagara Shuttle, and he does work with the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area, who has come up with the initiative of the Discover Niagara Shuttle that's been running for a while, and it is something that our chamber has been involved in for, gosh, how many years now, Matt?
Well, the shuttle started in 2016, so this is our, eighth year?
Eighth year. So the chamber has benefited immensely from this initiative with the Discover Niagara Shuttle. It runs through our communities that we represent, and it has been an asset to the businesses and organizations in those communities, and also an asset to tourists. It's something that tourists can hop on and off and enjoy everything that we have to offer in our region. So thanks for joining us, Matt, on the podcast today. The Discover Niagara Shuttle has a season that pretty much runs during the tourist season, but there's some ancillary events that happen where you can see the shuttle out in the community. You are gearing up right now for the season to start, which starts at the end of May. So tell us a little bit about what's going on with the shuttle and what we can expect for the year.
Yeah, so we're looking forward to it. So we start every year Memorial Day weekend, which this year I believe is the 24th, that Friday.
It is. It feels early, but it's not.
Yeah, so the first few weeks of our season are always, weekends, and then we gear up to 7 days a week, like the third week of June. But we just kind of follow the trend in terms of rider and visitors and things like that. But we're excited about this year. We have some improvements. Every year we try to add something new or make improvements based on feedback we've received. One of the things we're working on right now is improved shuttle tracking. So we're working on a system that will, give more accurate real time. Like right now, you kind of got to refresh to see the positions. They're accurate, but people want to see them actually moving. So we're working on that. One of the problems we've always had with that since our inception is that there are some legit cell phone black holes along our route. We have a very long route, and some of it is somewhat rural and on an international border. So when you get down near like Devil's Hole or between Lewiston and Youngstown, there are a few
There's a dead area there.
There's definitely a dead area. We've all been on the phone, and then you're just gone.
Yes.
So and the data, cell phones, they work the same. So we're working on some different technologies to kind of work around that. So that we don't have those kind of gaps and people can kind of see where we are. So we're testing that right now, and that should be ready, for opening day. The other thing we're really working on this year is driver-focused training. From the start, we never wanted our drivers to just be drivers. We wanted to be more than transportation. The reality is we are public transportation in the sense that anybody can hop on and hop off, but we are also a national heritage area, and we have our own mission that we're trying to fill. And what we need is more of an ambassador for our region, in addition to a driver. So we are working with our partner at Gray Line to really be more involved in the driver trainings heading into this year and give them a sense of what a national heritage area is, what our national heritage area is all about, and the stories we try to tell. We want to be more than just getting people from point A to point B. At the end of the day, that is what we are. We're a transportation service, but we know we can be more.
Right.
And we know there's opportunities to use the shuttles for all different kinds of things, which we do in the off season. Different partners have different events or programming that we use the shuttles for, and we know there's much more that we can do. One example of that, our executive director, Sarah Capon, has always wanted to do this, and we are going to do it one year. She looks at Niagara Falls, and she says, it would be really cool to do a meatball tour of Niagara Falls, right? This is like one of my favorite ideas of her that we've just never done. But we have the transportation part, so we just got to find the meatballs and create, a meatball corridor.
There's plenty.
Yeah, it's Niagara Falls, right? Like, we have some of the best meatballs in the world here. So things like that. Like, we're trying to integrate it more into the heritage of our area and use it for storytelling. And, build interpretive things along our route. There's a method to the madness of where we put our stops and what we build around our stops. It doesn't happen overnight, but slowly, we're doing that, and we're really fundamentally working on placemaking. Showing a sense of place, a pride of place along our route. And it's a heavy lift because it's a long route. It's a 13-mile stretch, Falls to Fort.
Right, and each community has something different to offer. There's a different story on each of them. So if a rider hops on, they're a tourist, they hop on the shuttle, that driver could be a wealth of information, giving some of the more intricate stories or just trivia or facts or things that you wouldn't have realized. So I do see where that's a very important component. But while they're on that shuttle, there's also video that runs that kind of gives a little overview of where they're going and maybe some information on some of the local businesses. Tell us a little bit about that.
So from the start, we wanted to have digital signage, digital screens in the shuttles that would allow us to do programming for people riding. And we started with, who are the partners along our route? Like, let's tell people what is at each one of our stops. So we made a pretty significant investment in developing, professional videos that are either narrated or had some of our folks, in them, just showing people what's at each stop. In addition to that, we have all kinds of other information. Last year, we started rolling out our stories, which we had a few on last year, but now we must have 70, 80 stories that have been written.
So you could hop on and listen to something that you've never heard before.
Exactly, and we roll those in, and we're really excited about that. These stories, you're just on the bus anyway. So, yes, you can look out the windows. it's funny because we wrapped our buses last year in the Polly King artwork, and we immediately got a flood of emails saying, but nobody's going to be able to see out the windows. And this is not how those work. So you can see out our windows. But this gives people something to do, something to experience while they're riding. So again, not just transportation. You can hear about all kinds of history of our region, of which there's a great deal. And a lot of it has been unknown, and a lot of ordinary people doing extraordinary things is in these stories. So that's one of the things we're doing with the screens. And we have the ability to change those screens on the fly at any time. It's all wireless or whatever. So if there's an event going on or something, like, we can put that up there too. And our door is always open to small businesses who want to advertise on the shuttle. We're not funded by small business advertising. So we just want to tell people, again, what you can experience when you hop off this shuttle in Niagara Falls, Lewiston, Youngstown, Lockport, and that, small businesses are part of that story, whether it's shopping, whether it's dining, it's part of the picture. So again, being more than just transportation, that's one way, that we do connect with our riders.
I think that our businesses have been very appreciative of the service. I know that during the summer months, they love dealing with all the different tourists and the visitors that come from all over, but they are able to speak with those that are hopping on and off the shuttle. And because specifically in Lewiston, I believe there's 3 drop-off points in Lewiston, they see them. They see them coming off and going back on. Tell us about how long it usually is between a shuttle ride. How often can somebody hop on and off that bus? And what can businesses expect as turnover as visitors are coming? Is it a constant turnover? Is it from certain times of the day? I know we're starting with the weekend opportunity now, but as the summer months gear up, what can a business or organization expect from a tourist that's hopping on that bus, the shuttle?
So, as you mentioned, rider experience is one of the things I'm tasked with, which means I hear the praise and I hear the complaints, right? So one of the complaints is obviously top of the list, wait times. So when we first started, we didn't have that many shuttles. It was a pilot program, and you would hear that. And we started looking at it, with our transportation partner at Greyline, and the only way to really fix that problem is to add more shuttles. So we started realizing, okay, to do this on a very long route, like, we just need more shuttles. So
I remember when the Discover Niagara Shuttle just started, we operated a welcome center, and we would tell people, well, you're going to have to wait about 20 to 35 minutes. There's no set time. And that was before there was an app. That was before there was tracking. Now it's become so much easier.
Yeah. So we were always committed to improving that, and our wait times have gone from like an hour to, I think last year we were hitting about 35 minutes. And if we were to add another 5 shuttles, we'd cut it down even more. But, it turns out large vehicles are really expensive. and so are the drivers. So there is a limit. We work, within our means to do the best possible job we can. But this year we would expect around that 35-minute mark again on our Falls to Fort route. It is one of those things, though, that we're always conscious of. And it's a constant loop. So it's 35 minutes in both directions. So, they just run, and it's hard to explain to people who might not be familiar with the system, but a constant loop is just the simplest way of explaining it.
Right.
But what happens, of course, if you just miss the shuttle, it's going to seem like you have a really long wait. And then if you show up and it shows up in 5 minutes, then you're like, wow, that was quick and easy. So it really depends on where you are, and that's why the tracking, we want to improve that as well. So if you have time to maybe go in one more shop or something while you're waiting for the shuttle, you don't have to worry about, I'm going to miss the shuttle. It's reliable, it's on there, it's accurate in real time. So we look at that and we look at that feedback, and we try to respond to it in the off season. It is a little more difficult during the season when the shuttles are running every day, because they do take off super early in the morning, and it's difficult to do that. And every morning, they're getting a bath too. So if you want to go work on the shuttle or do something, you're going to get wet. So we clean them every day. So, but yeah.
There are 21 destination sites along the route. There might be a few more. I think, and recently added was stops to Lockport, as well as 4 Mile Creek Campground. I know those are definite new additions over the past couple years that have really benefited the experience of the riders. So tell us a little bit about what those loops are. Yep. Where can people connect them? Where's the most easiest way, I guess, to get those connections? Tell us a little bit about that rider experience.
Yeah, so our core loop has always been the Falls to Fort Loop, which starts in the downtown Niagara Falls core and goes all the way to Old Fort Niagara, and just is a loop. We did several years ago. We added Lockport because we wanted to, again, one of our goals, and we're aligned with partners on this too. People like the Destination Niagara USA. We all have the same goal, and that's to extend visitor stays. We want people to see more of Niagara Falls beyond, the state park. So Lockport is part of that equation too. And full disclosure, like when we first started working with Lockport, I was not that familiar with Lockport and their assets. Lockport has a very cool story to tell, and it's very much aligned with the history of Niagara Falls, with the Erie Canal and everything. There's a lot of synergy between the two, so it makes a lot of sense from a heritage area standpoint to want to use the Discover Niagara Shuttle to help tell those stories as well. So that route goes between the Niagara USA Official Visitor Center and the Erie Canal Discovery Center on weekends, so Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And then once in Lockport, it does a micro loop to, I believe, 7 different sites in Lockport. And then it comes back, picks up, drops off, picks up, then goes back, and just repeats all day. And what I hope is when people visit Niagara Falls, and if you're here for a weekend or a week or an extended time, or maybe you learn a little bit about what Lockport has to offer, and there's from my experience working there, because we do a lot of marketing of destination assets as well, so we're doing geo-targeted ads for Lockport. But one thing I've really enjoyed is meeting small business owners in Lockport and experiencing their shops, and they have some really cool shops.
They do.
So there's a lot of really nice things to check out there, and I just want to keep pushing the Lockport story. And I know our partners do as well. It's just a really nice addition for people coming to Niagara Falls that are looking for something else to do. The canal, there's just a lot of cool experiences to have there.
I agree. I was just in Lockport on Friday at the Erie Canal cruise, right on the canal there. And after I was done, I drove through Lockport and I visited some of those small businesses. And I am so excited that this loop is continuing, and it's very important. And I think if somebody wants to visit the fort now and you're a tourist from out of town and you're not quite sure where to go, such a great opportunity to just hop on that shuttle, get to Niagara Falls, and take that loop to Lockport. I mean, you can do that all in a day. It's an easy ride.
Yeah, and sometimes I think about that kind of now famous mural, like Keep Buffalo a Secret. Like, I kind of feel that way about Lockport, but now, Lockport's getting a big ditch. I believe there's another brewery going in there. There's some stuff happening there. So I'm glad we're already set up and running there, because I feel like there's a little spark in Lockport. For 4 Mile, I will also admit to not really seeing this. So I did not. So we've talked about it for years. Like, we want to connect 4 Mile Campground to our Discover Niagara Shuttle route. And we were finally able to do it. And the way we did it, it was in the form of a microloop. So we have a dedicated shuttle that runs between Four Mile Creek Campground and Youngstown Center and Old Fort Niagara. And it also, when the businesses are open, we'll stop at Sanger,
Some of those
Bandanas.
along the way.
If they're on the way, so if you want to grab lunch or whatever. And I didn't quite get it at first because I'm like, okay, a campground, we pick up a few campers. No, that's a very big campground. And when I was sent, the numbers of how many people stay there a year, I'm like, wow, yeah, this is a really big feeder for our shuttle.
It's a popular campground. And it's located right next to Porter on the Lake Town Park as well. There's so many assets out in that area that you don't even think about.
And what it comes down to for me is I think I just had some weird camping experiences. but then again, but like I don't drive an RV, right? So I don't understand that once you come in, you park your IV, you level
stuck.
it, you hook it up, like you're not unhooking all that stuff, right? So we allow people to get picked up at the campground and intersects our Falls to Fours route, and you can go pretty easily from there all the way to Niagara Falls and everything in between. So if you want to go to Youngstown, Lewiston, if you want to go to Stella, anywhere you want to go, and you can do that. And it was very, very well received last year. We had one complaint, and it's why can't you do this 7 days a week, right? So, which makes sense. If you're staying there, Monday through Thursday, and you hear about this shuttle, but it only runs on weekends, it is frustrating.
Then you miss that opportunity completely.
So we really saw a need there, and it was the numbers were very strong last year. So it looks like we're going to be able to do a 7 day a week. Once we start 7 days in June, we're going to be able to do seven days a week for them.
I just think about how that opportunity, having that shuttle 7 days a week in the village of Youngstown, is going to have a major impact on those businesses. A lot of people don't realize that Youngstown, the village, does have everything you pretty much need. There's a drugstore, there's a brewery, there's a children's store, a little retail store, a liquor store, coffee shop, and a bar or two. And so everything you need, and then the fort is just from there. So in the aspect of tourism, that is essential for those businesses to keep going. Youngstown's a tiny, tiny village. It's nothing compared to the village of Lewiston and what you can experience shopping for a day, but it does have all those components. So I know that those businesses are going to be eternally grateful for that to open up 7 days a week. It'll make a major difference on the economic impact in that village.
We hope it does. When we look at designing the shuttle route from the get-go, it was really focused on destinations. Where do people want to go? Where do we want to bring people? What stories do we want them to see? Then that first year we did a pilot. We did an economic impact study. We hired an independent firm, Trip on Bach, to do this. This is what they do. And when we saw and that's kind of what you have to do when you have a pilot program. You have to see, like, okay, what did this actually do? And our minds were kind of blown when we saw the numbers of economic impact. And the reason that is because, somebody who doesn't work in that space, like myself, might not understand how economic impact is measured. There's direct and indirect, right? So let's say, these extra visitors that are coming into a place like Youngstown or Lewiston, or 3rd Street or whatever. Let's say because of that increased demand, they hired 1 or 2 more employees. So those people are now gaining income, and they are spending in their community. And then it kind of spreads, which is not a way I looked at economic impact. I looked at, okay, how much did this person on the shuttle spend at this store? It's just not how you measure it, right? It's just not that simple.
Right.
But looking at that and just remembering how those were done, when you take a thing like 4 Mile Creek, and you look at the amount of potential shuttle riders that are there that are just getting unleashed now in our communities, um, it's a great thing. It only adds to the economic impact of the shuttle. So there's two ways to look at stops. It's, is this a place people would want to hop off and explore, but also is this a place that people would want to hop on, whether it's strategically located near high density hotels or the campground. um, you know it's kind of a thing we look at every single year. Even now, like we're seeing near one of our stops, the Cambria Hotel just opened in Niagara Falls, which is great. The Heritage area did a curation in the lobby of that hotel. But again, that's like a bunch of extra people now that are like right next to one of our stops. So we love it. It's just more people is more economic impact.
Definitely. The Niagara Falls National Heritage Area is behind the Discover Niagara Shuttle. So this shuttle has just multiplied in growth and what it's able to provide. But the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area does the work behind it. One of the things you had touched on earlier, and we can expand on this, is the shuttle was wrapped in Polly King artwork. The Polly King exhibit and the program behind that is an initiative, again, of the Niagara Falls National Heritage, and it pairs with the Discover Niagara Shuttle because now there's a stop where people can go and see the artwork of Polly King and really just experience an artist and something that's close to Niagara Falls that is just pretty amazing. And the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area was behind that. Can you talk a little bit about that, how it relates a little bit to the shuttle and it enhances the rider experience there as well?
Yeah, well, when you look at Polly King, and if you follow the heritage area at all, you've seen a lot of Polly King over the last year or two.
Who is an artist who was known from Niagara Falls.
Yeah, so yes, she's a Niagara Falls based artist. She moved here, originally born in West Virginia. Has traveled the world, essentially painted during almost the entirety of the 20th century. So you get to see a century unfold through this artist's eyes. She traveled the world, but also did a lot locally, including the portraits of people living in Niagara Falls, visiting Niagara Falls, which you can see at our exhibit that's at the Gray Line right next to the Underground Railroad Heritage Museum. And this summer, there's a Polly King exhibit, Colors Sing to Me. It's going to be at the Castellani Art Museum. So that will start at the end of May and run through the summer. And they are one of our shuttle stops as well. But when we look at, again, I credit Sarah Capon for this because she has really big ideas that, you can't dismiss them because, you keep thinking it's not possible, but then we do it.
And
right?
they become possible. And they become huge, huge projects.
I mean, it started with like the buses. Like, could we wrap all the shuttles in Polly King artwork? And could you? I'm sure you could, and then we did, right?
Now there's a whole fleet of Polly King artwork.
Yep, and when you think about it, it's, you take somebody like, her son, Don King. We love this because we just want to be this part of Polly, the artist, the person getting her due, particularly as a female artist. But we also look at it like, well, we are putting these large vehicles in these communities. They're up and down the streets every day. Are they adding anything to the beauty or experience of these communities? No. They're just buses. You wrap them in nice artwork, now they're not just buses. Now they're part of your landscape. Mm-hmm. So you see like the rainbow at the falls, or you see, and they're all kind of locally based, and they're all based on the areas of our stops. So You'll see Niagara Falls ones, but you'll also see one is the Erie Canal, which is what we run in Lockport. We have one that depicts Youngstown with sailboats and things like that. So, we try to make them not only, nice parts of the community landscape, but also reflecting the actual community landscape, and she gave us, it's hard to choose, even the process of putting the exhibit together at the Castellani, the art team of the heritage area has had, and working with the King family, has had a really tough task of, you're looking at somebody with like thousands and thousands of pieces of art of different genres, different parts of the world. Just choosing a set amount of them is very difficult. It was a little easier with the shuttles because we did want them to reflect the communities we operate in. But we're super excited about that exhibit. That's going to open pretty soon, actually. Really soon.
Well, does it open Memorial Day weekend too? I know it's sometime at the end of May, so it may go together.
And then about a week after, we're doing, an opening reception. Mm-hmm. But yeah, it's great to see Polly getting her due as an artist. It's long overdue. Even the Jens Building project that the team pulled off. It's one of those things. It starts as it's a crazy idea. Like, we want to put a portrait lady in every one of those windows. It's like, well, I mean, this is a building that's been uninhabited for a long. Does it even have windows? The windows are all boarded up. Like there's so many obstacles in your way. And then, but it's just it starts with this division. Like, what if we did?
Yeah.
It's like the Matthew McConaughey. Like, be cool if you did, right? like it's kind of like that. Like. And then it happened.
It did. It happened, and it's that Jens Building has changed the landscape of Main Street. There's a bright point there now, and it is it's phenomenal to see that. I remember when it was first lit up, and all of the, I think it was a cold winter night. I don't remember. I remember driving by it and just feeling like, wow, there's a bright spot on Main Street that has changed the way you view Main Street and changed the way you view driving down that street, which you may not have before. Mm-hmm. And now you kind of go out of your way just so you can see that. Yeah. And the exhibit that is near the Underground Railroad Museum, when is that open? I think it's only open on weekends right now.
Thursdays and Saturdays.
Yep. And if you haven't had a chance to do that, take a stop in there on a Thursday. It's great. If you haven't had a chance to go to the Underground Railroad Museum right across the street there, do that as well. And these are all stops on the Discover Niagara Shuttle. So if you are a local or you're a business owner and you know of the shuttle but you've never done it, just hop on Memorial Day weekend. There's free Wi-Fi, there's air conditioning. These drivers are being educated and working more as ambassadors to tell some of the stories that are happening. You can learn something new on the shuttle, maybe something that you haven't heard before. And some of these stories are available online as well. What's the website that people can go to?
So for the heritage area, it's discoverniagara.org. And for the shuttle, it's discoverniagarashuttle.com. We've kind of separated the two. While we want everybody to know that the Discover Niagara Shuttle is a heritage area initiative, we also know that some people do view it as just a transportation service. Mm-hmm. Tourists coming in, they might not know the whole story, so we start with the transportation service and then we feed them back into everything else we're doing.
Right.
Yeah.
Such a smart thing, because tourists are always looking for something else to enhance their stay or to have the ability to stay longer, or spend some more money, or see some things to do. I have to admit, I am on the board of the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area, so I knew some of these things, and Matt's our chairman of the board, so of course I'm going to make sure that he comes on to talk about these things. But it's so important for the region to have the National Heritage Area be active in our communities and come up with these initiatives, and just like you said, an idea in Sarah's mind pops up, and then everyone makes it happen. And look where we are from that. Such great ideas that have come to fruition and really enhanced the area. It's been really great to see and to be a part of from our organization, the chamber organization, from the ground up. We've been involved in different ways, and now for me personally to have a different involvement, it's been really a great opportunity. The Discover Niagara Shuttle has some brochures in our office too, so if you're interested in that, stop in and grab that. They are also a nice advertiser on the back of our calendar of events, so take a look. You can see the entire route there from Falls to Fort. Lockport's not included on this one, but if you go to the website, you can find information on that. So we're looking forward to Memorial Day weekend when things start. You have seen the shuttle throughout the year, though, because the shuttle's been running for a few different things. Some of the main events that happen around the area during the holiday time and parades, of course, but the Art of Beer event that was at the Neck, the shuttle was running there. So there's opportunities for the shuttle to be used throughout the year, and that's a great thing just to keep visibility out there.
That's something we're really proud of, actually. It's actually part of the Heritage Area's mission. I can't quote it exactly, but essentially it's where, if something is lacking, we will fill the gap. So we work with partners to find out what gap can we fill. Like, call us in. All kinds of events where what's lacking is transportation, we are now able to help with. And every year, like, we sit back and we look at the list, and every year the list is growing. And it's like, wow, we did all that in this last year, and it's sometimes like Art of Beer was great. I took the shuttle to Art of Beer from
Very
Lewiston.
convenient.
Actually, we expanded to Lewiston, and on the way there, it's a good and a bad thing. When we hit our Niagara Falls pickup, there's a park and ride at the Heritage Center, and we filled up. So not only was there a need for transportation for Art of Beer, you need more transportation. So next year, maybe we look at, additional shuttles, because
the need was there.
People will use it if you make it available to them. And we're just super proud of what we've been able to do from a community standpoint in helping people with all kinds of events, and then the parades are fun. I know our operations guy, Aaron Day, he gets really excited about parades and decorating the shuttles.
He does.
And
I can't complain because he's in the Christmas lights parade, so I love it. It's really a highlight. Because he does. He gets into it. He decorates it. The driver's great. They can carry some people. I love having that shuttle and that parade.
Yeah.
Well, anything else that you can add as we near the ending of our episode today? Anything else that you'd like to share?
Yeah, just one thing I'd like to share. We talk about the shuttle in terms of its tourism impact and the role it fills for tourism transportation for those visiting Niagara Falls. But some of my favorite stories I've heard over the years are how it helps locals. And I'll give you two kind of like repetitive, these things repeat themselves every year, and I hear these stories, and I love it. One, all of our show, we were committed to two things on our shuttles in terms of amenities. Bike racks, because we want people to be able to, and we've actually upgraded our bike racks to carry more bikes because we got that feedback. So now they carry the most legally allowable bikes by DOT standards. But two, they all have accessibility lifts. So, and we were really adamant about that, and just the inclusive nature of our shuttle. And last year, even allowing pets on the shuttle as well. but we hear stories all the time. It's like, I wasn't able to go and do all these things and visit these places until your shuttle came, and then we were able to use the lift, and then people who aren't able to get places easily now can do so, and it's free. So keeping our shuttle free is, there are no barriers to riding our shuttle. There's no tickets. There's no, you do hop on, hop off, and that's the way we want it to be. The other thing we hear all the time is we'll get like thank you notes, thank you letters, or Facebook messages, and they're all kind of the same. It's, my grandchildren were visiting. I don't drive anymore, but thanks to the shuttle, I was able to take them to the Power Vista, or some of the aquarium, or some other. So grandparents doing fun things with children, and children, they love the ride too.
I bet. It's a cool shuttle. If you're on that certain trolley type of look, it's a cool thing to hop on.
Yeah, they little kids like love the shuttle. This year we're relaunching our Junior Ranger program. So hopefully we'll have those booklets on the actual shuttles. And it's great because, you can use the shuttle, and the locations in the booklet will align with our stops, and, you could spend a day doing all the Junior Ranger stuff. So we're looking forward to relaunching that, hopefully sooner than later. But yeah, I love hearing those stories that because the shuttle exists, I was able to do something I otherwise wouldn't have been able to do. So we're looking forward to the year. We're excited about some of the improvements we're putting in this year, and this is the time of year where we're kind of freaking out because there's still a lot to do, but also impatient because we're just ready for the weather to be nice and just get the shuttles rolling.
Once that weather turns, it's full steam ahead. I know we're freaking out as well in the office because it's the end of April. We're in the 20s of April, which means, May comes, and once May hits, that's tourist season to us. It's just everything rolls out from that point. But I think we need some nice weather coming up. I think the sun's out a little bit today, but that always lifts everybody's spirits. So looking forward to the tourist season, looking forward to the shuttle coming back. And I love what you had included about the inclusivity and, just how community can be a little bit of anything. It could be tourists coming in and adding to the fabric, but it's also about, people being able to just take their grandkids. It's about being able to just enjoy what we have here. And I appreciate everything that you came to share about the Discover Niagara Shuttle in the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area. It's an important organization to our region, to the Chamber, to making things happen. And I love Sarah's brain, and I can't wait for more of that to come out to make happen. Sometimes, you think, well, it's just an idea, but honestly, that organization carries those ideas out and makes them happen.
Yeah, some of the things, our art team with the heritage area, they're just fearless people that like rolling up their sleeves and just getting things done. You know, whether it's the murals that you see everywhere, or the Prophet Isaiah house. These are heavy lifts. There's nothing easy about doing a mural, and some of the projects that are coming up they just get bigger and bigger and bigger. So, that team has a lot going on as well. So it's going to be a fun summer.
It is. Well, if there was ever an organization that embodied the theme of support local everything, it's the Niagara Falls National Heritage Area. So thank you, Matt, for joining us on today's podcast, and thank you all for listening. We hope that you tune in next week, and thanks for joining us on the Support Local Everything podcast.